Ed from Pinball Mayhem here. Time to show off a new project I picked up. I keep picking them up and need to get working on. This is actually very interesting to me. It's a Wurlitzer 616 or 616 from 1937. It plays 16 selections. Actually, here's a record I just found. Pinball Millionaire. It is what's called the simplex mechanism. But what's interesting about this specific cabinet, like a lot of people, why would you be thinking about getting an old 1937, is these louvers in the side and these red plastic and this grill were not factory with this jukebox. It actually is a 616A for those people who want to actually be specific on the model number. Let me get a shot of the right side. And that plastic will have to be replaced, but that's not a problem. The cabinet will need to be refinished and some touch-ups, but it's actually fairly solid. Some water damage on the bottom that I'm going to have to work on. Before I tell you more about those, I just want to show you there's a selection. So this is the cancel selection. Press that first and you make your selections, and then you drop the money in and it'll play these in order and it will cancel them. But if you say, hey, I want to change what I'm playing, push that all the way in, it's a little bit stuck. And these will pull back out, and that will allow you to change your selection based on how much money you put in. Your money denomination gives you a certain amount of selections per money. Now over here, this is where the coin slides would be. You have 3 coin slides, and you would put the money in, slide it in, and actually ratchet up a gear, and it would then count down as it plays. If there's no selections made, it will actually play, like if it's playing selection 13, it will play selection 12 the next time around. So it'll count 1 short, so it'll keep going backwards, from what I understand. Let me open up the window here. Uh-oh, there we go. You can see the mechanism with our 16 trays. Here's tray 16 coming out. It's partially jammed on the back. I got it playing, but there's an issue which I have a part that broke. But I did kind of goof around with it a little bit. Some of the lights light up. I don't want to plug it in right now. There's some cords that are really suspect. You can see the tone arm up there, needs to be upgraded. So this record will come out, and then the platter starts spinning, and it picks up the record and goes all the way up to the tone arm to play. And then when it's done, it comes all the way down. That's why there is metal trays you can kind of see in the back that you set these records on to protect them from the spike coming from the turntable. But they'll fit without them, but you'll damage your records. And plus, these are shellac 78 RPM records, 1 song per side, which is they're brittle. So these lights, I don't know if they were both original or not. I know there's some lights up here. I think these 2 lights were added. There's supposed to be a light in the back too to illuminate the backdrop, which is gone. Part of the light up kit, that's what this is called, is the grill in the side. So operators would cut this out and add it in. Kind of see some of the work on the inside. Because these came out in 37. A couple years later, Wurlitzer, Rockola and Seaberg started releasing some really colorful cabinets. And I think between the 616 and the 616A, they made over 30,000 of these. So there's a ton of these out there, because it was the start of the jukebox revolution, but they were dated looking. They didn't light up, they didn't attract customers. So aftermarket companies started making the light up kits, where you would take the grill out, put this in with some more light bulbs, and it would glow red rather than just glowing white. The corners, there was actually some that had the corners here. There was a dome, that would go on top to replace this board. It actually would be a big, come up a few inches with lights all around it, or even more lights. So there was like at least 4 or 5 major companies making them. This one was made by Jacob's Novelty Company in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I thought that was the big draw for me. And talking with some people, we're pretty sure that the Veta Window Company did a lot of woodwork and a lot of wood trim stuff for all their fancy windows. Pretty sure that they were the ones that actually made the wood parts on contract for Jacob's Novelty, and then Jacob's Novelty will sell the kit with instructions. So much what reproduction companies do now is they get all the parts made, they sell them as a kit with the instructions and everything. So we're pretty sure that these were all made by the Vetter company for Jacobs Novelty, and Jacobs Novelty sold them. I did a little bit of cleaning up, and I've just been oiling. The back door, as you can see, is off. Let's just see the inside of the mech a little bit. Cleaned all the dust off the tubes. I was sick of it smelling like dust when I turned it on. And I did take the side cover off, loosen this bottom 2 screws in the top, just getting the junction box. Because right here, you can see right there, is a breaker. And one problem was the motor wasn't spinning when I turn it on, and this wire going to that breaker is loose, so I need to open that up and take it apart. But then you have this wooden cable cover, and there's the schematic, and you can see the condition of the cord. I saw that, and then here's the condition of this is brittle like AMIs, the power cord going to the amp. So this and this are gonna get replaced before I power it up again. There's the amplifier. It should be the original model that's supposed to be in here, a 771. It's actually the same size as all the way up. They use this size print, pretty sure all the way up to 1015. I measured this one and I measured against the 1015, same size amp, different. It doesn't have the big box on top, still has a transformer, a bunch of tubes. Speaker's interesting that it actually has this kind of stand. I don't know if that's to support the grill. I have yet to figure out how to change the light bulbs behind those red plastics properly. And you can see these little squares here, and there's some missing brackets on both sides. You see brackets here. So I'm pretty sure the original grill on the 616A had some dim lights on them, and that's what these would hold against those. Those are probably asbestos. So the light bulb would sit there, but the new light up kit actually moves it more inboard behind the red plastic, and that's where this wiring's all been changed out. Interesting. One other note is you can look at this back panel and you can see all the outlets and what they're labeled for. Phono motor, grill lighting, dial lighting, magazine switch, amplifier, and 3 amp fuse. So the amplifier is switched for when the magazine turns on and off. Here's the motor that just turns on at the same time the amp does. See right there, it's burnt out. There's a light bulb for the dial light. And see, it just kind of lights it from the side. And that light bulb would actually, let me see if I can get up in here. Over here is where the coin slides should be. I have part of the bracket, and then that would go sit back here, and there'd be a coin box bolted between here and there. I have the tube and I have the box, but I don't have a lot of the other brackets. You can kind of see the bottom of the mech. Here's the motor suspended on this board. This is the motor mount board. And we got the 2 leather discs, the coupler. Notice how these two are 90 degrees off from each other. That's the same thing with cars. You want these to be 90 degrees off to avoid wobble. Let's keep going. Some differences from the 1015. The star wheel is obviously 16. There's an arm missing here, which is the arm I broke that actually picks this up and down. This guy picks it up and down. It won't move because there's a record tray out, and that's what broke because the record tray stuck. You can see the trip wire here. We'll go more through the actual operation of this once we get going. And you can see back in here, we can kind of see the back of the dial mechanism, and there's a part in there that's actually going to push that rod forward when the selection is done. Biggest thing when you get one of these, do not just power it up. You can turn this shaft here on the motor, and you can turn it in the proper rotation. So it's going to be like that, I believe. Yes, you can turn that by hand and move it through the motions. The biggest thing is this gear here, called the fiber gear. It's a pain in the butt to replace. It can strip out if something's jammed, and it's a very expensive gear. This gear is also a fiber gear up here. Not as expensive, but still, why strip out a gear when you could just oil it? First thing I do is ATF on an oil bottle. Let me show you what it looks like for me. My oil bottle I use ATF, and I just start oiling all the pivot points, because ATF, automatic transmission fluid, it's actually cheap. It is an oil, but it has so many detergents in it, it will start eating all that grease out of those joints. It doesn't still save you from taking the mech out, cleaning it, putting it back together, or partially disassembling, putting it back together and putting it in. But this allows me to oil it up and know that there's something happening. First thing I did when I got this home, opened it up, oiled it, and walked away. Let that oil soak into every part that moves, that rubs, that grinds, and I still screwed up and broke it. The second thing I would do, I'm gonna reach back here. There's a hinge, a latch. See if I can do this one-handed. There we go. Now here's the record mechanism. You see the tone arm, and you see the trays. See, this guy is already moving it out. These trays cannot be sticky. See that? I pushed that forward, it didn't spring back. That you cannot have any of that. You will break the arm that picks this up and down. And this is what moves to sit in this groove right here to actually flip the tray out. Right now it's in the flipped out position. I can manually rotate it the proper direction. You can see it's going to go all the way up to the play position, lift up the turntable, engage it, and go down. So that has to happen before it's back, and then it has to go through the whole cycle. But that's what happened to me. Don't do it. It got stuck on here, broke the arm, and they're not very easy to find. So just so that you know, don't do what I did. And take your time. I'm going to be disassembling this entire stack today. Oh, I also have a broken tray right here. I taped it so it didn't scratch anything. The tray actually was broken on there. So I found a replacement tray. I'm going to take this whole stack apart, degrease it, take the tone arm off, degrease all that stuff, put it all back together, and with fresh oil on here, and hopefully those move as they should. That should solve that problem, and then I can continue troubleshooting the mechanism and deciding how far I want to take the cabinet. That's just a tour of my 616. I don't know when I'm going to work on it. I got so many other projects. I got some other ones I want to show you guys. Here's where the title displays are. I haven't even cleaned the glass yet. Yeah, eventually I'll finish this up and it'll be beautiful. I'll be able to take some videos of the mech working and kind of show you how it works. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Facebook.